According to a pair of merit truck drivers, North America's first ever hybrid electric logging truck was developed.
I think we're probably going to look back on this in like 2 or 3 years, hopefully, and laugh. This is just such an incredible success story that we pulled this off. So we're down here at K&L Fabrication in Maple Ridge, and we are putting together the cab. So we just finished basically the exoskeleton here. So inside here, we got a solid metal floor. We're gonna put some about R10 insulation under there to really pack in the good insulation to keep it warm. I mean, this thing is going to Northern Canada. But more importantly in here for the mechanics, where the seat is, we have managed, it's a bolt-on plate in here. So what we're gonna be able to do, take that bolt seat, take that plate. If you need to work on the generator that's underneath here, you'll be able to work directly from the cab as well as down below. It's gonna give fantastic serviceability being able to take these plates out. So Flowdraulic here is an absolute expert on vocational based truck things. They make the control modules for things like garbage trucks. That's what they do, and they were willing to work with us to make sure that the Edison truck is completely 100% integrated from factory to be able to run these kind of things. They're also experts in the high voltage, and we're able to make sure that our high voltage components are reliable and safe as possible. It's May 12th. We're gonna give you a few updates on the progress of the prototype build here. We've got the radiator in. This is the radiator for the Cat C9 generator, which is now mounted. Our cab structure is getting welded up. We're just welding on all the interior pieces right now. The display screen, we gotta put the dash in. Then yeah, on the back, we have our cab supports. Honestly, I'm relatively happy of how this is going. The E-axle should be in next week, which means we could start working on the suspension in the back. The battery should be here within a month. The very first drawing of this truck, I wasn't quite sold, if we're just being totally honest. But now that I see it and actually see it come together, I really like it. All right, we have the Edison electric axle right here now. So we're currently at the factory where these are manufactured. I'm impressed. These are absolutely heavy spec axles. I mean, we have planetaries, 250 kilowatt hour motors. It's like 350 horsepower per axle. These things are spec and designed with off-road heavy truck applications in mind.
So we're just pulling up to Flowdraulic for the first time in Kamloops.
Gonna give Flowdraulic one of our E-axles so they can do some testing on it. So we're gonna send it off, get all the information from testing, and get them to hook it up, and we'll get the data on how these axles do before we even put it in a truck. We just got that axle dropped off here at Flowdraulic. It's going to take about a week to ship it to Ontario. That's where their large testing PDU facility is. So we can get it all tested, and hopefully by the end of June, we'll have all that data. We'll have it refined. We'll have our computer program, just everything figured out. While they're doing that and working on that one axle we dropped off, we'll be mounting these two axles into the truck. They'll just ship it all back, all programmed, ready to go. They'll come over here in our month back in July. They'll be at our shop to commission it, give us a hand. And yeah, it's exciting. It's really cool to see all these parts moving, flowing, coming together with any luck. All right, June 20th here, so we're gonna do a little update. First off, thanks everyone. We hit 100,000 subscribers. That was a big moment for us. Biggest update now, we got our bumper done, so that's exciting. That is now reinforced directly into the frame rail, so it's 1/2 inch thick, solid steel. Our toe pins have been reinforced, so it's actually hugging the frame rail. It runs with a piece of channel down the side. There's an insert on the inside part of the frame rail, which means if you hit something, you send the full momentum of your frame rails directly into what you're hitting. So today at Edison Motors, getting those axles prepped and ready. These are the lower axle saddles. These are what the axle goes into. Walking beam attaches onto the end. These are inserts for the frame rail. So you can see we have overly built that skookum. And then today we will also do the rims and tires and get all that ready.
Looks good.
Everyone happy?
Yep.
Okay, up, down.
Clear.
That's a little, right there, a little rough spot. I can stick yours in.
Okay, mine's in all the way.
This one doesn't fit. Fuck's sakes. It's so close.
Coming up square. Let's use the vested clamp now and see if it'll.
Just pry in.
Yeah.
That's in, well, it's gonna lined up there.
Hey, look there, let's try that.
Hey, if you could pry that, I can get a bolt in. Oh, that's in there.
Kind of wrapping up for the day here. Guys are just heading home. Basically where we ended up is we got the one saddle on the driver's side. We got the axle on, brackets lined up. Well, not axle on, but we got the axle in place.
Chase is in the hospital. Apparently there was an incident today while installing the e-axle. I wasn't there for it, but we're gonna go out there, talk to Ray, possibly visit Chase in the hospital. Apparently his arm could be broken or crushed. I don't know, the e-axle landed on it or something while they were trying to install it, and he might have been pinned. So let's go see.
Okay, so turns out I'm in the hospital. We were mounting the electric axle, it fell off the stand, and it kind of squished that arm there. So right now I'm just waiting for x-rays. Doctor had a look at it, said that, yeah, it's definitely broken. We just need to get an x-ray and figure out how bad. So this is my little update.
What happened was Chase was working on this mount here, getting it ready for the e-axle to get in, and he was reaching in, doing his measurement, and he probably put some weight on, but it caused the drum to drop, and this was touching the ground, so we had to get a bunch of guys to come and pick it up, physically off him. You know, his arm went from like this to like, eh.
There he is.
Hey, I'm back.
What is the verdict then?
Nothing broken, but a lot of muscle damage, some nerve damage. Doctors thought for sure she was done. Like, Mom felt it, she's like, oh, that's broken. Then Nigel got here and he felt it, and he's a first aid guy, and he's like, oh yeah, that's broken. Go to the thing, the nurse meets me in the hospital, she's like, oh yeah, that's for sure broken. Go talk to the doctor, he feels it, and he's like, oh, he's like, that's gotta be broken. He's like, turns out it was there was enough muscle damage that the muscle felt like it was broken.
Oh, wow.
The actual bone was okay, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you like feel your fingertips and everything with the nerves?
Oh yeah, I got the feeling. It's just, it's gonna be black and blue. Said don't use it for at least 48 hours. Right now we're getting the suspension on. The most important part here is we're working on the alignment. We're just putting in the last couple packing bolts. It's all resting on the suspension, so it's compressing these. There's a little nut inside here. We're gonna tighten that nut up, bring that in, compress these down so that they're all compressed. Once we got that, we know our alignment left to right is good. We've measured that. It's bang on. It'll just be then leveling the axles and then balancing the axles. Once we do that, we can put those new torsions arms. We'll put those in, weld those so that the angle of the differential's right. Once we have the angle right, it's centered left to right, then we weld on the hangers. Suspension is done. So we're getting close to actually having this truck on its own tires.
This is the one that hurts you and it's not chained up.
Yeah, we learned our lesson well.
We literally raised enough money to build the truck.
With our bare hands.
Yeah, well the thing is that once we actually scale up to production, we're going to need an actual shop. Then it's time to get a shop with an overhead crane. For building the first prototype, just to make sure it works, we don't need an overhead crane to build one. Okay guys, I also wanted to thank everyone that's been really helping out the crew here. So these are some late nights. We have just 2 months to get this truck fully done in order to time for the fully charged show in September. Are we gonna make it? I'm actually not 100% sure on that. We're kind of behind time a little bit and we're still waiting for some parts. I'm not sure Dayton Part knows how to make a nut, but so a normal nut looks like this with threads in it. There's no threads in our nuts.
Really? They missed one?
They didn't put threads in the nut.
Oh boy. So I guess
You know what? Some of the things that you don't think of when you're building a truck. So today, we've got all of the torsion arms, everything in. So if you come in here and have a look, these are your torsion arms. What these do is they hold your axle at the right pitch. Angle forward or back. This axle can't rock back, can't rock forward. That's gonna hold it. We are gonna put on some torsion arms that do it this way to hold that axle side to side. I feel like we need Ashton for this. He's the guy with the muscles. We can just mount it now. Good, either way, right?
Remember, lift with your back.
It's Canada, we got health insurance. These planetaries. Yep. Man, it seems like we've got to suck them in more.
So what happened here is we just went to put on the lug nuts and they are not getting on enough thread. So we're saying, why is that? Why is that? And chase through a tape measure on it, and we have figured out that these hubs came with studs that were not long enough. So we're going to now have another curve ball to deal with, and we have to now change out all the studs on these axles to longer studs. A lot of you people watching here are like, oh well, you just run to the parts store. But one challenge that we have working out in Merritt is the parts store is an hour away. Yeah. So that's a 2-hour round trip. So one little hold up of a short bolt knocks 2 hours at least off of our day.
Okay, so what we got to do right now is take these brake drums off. There's little Allen keys. We're just taking the last few off here. Pull that off. We'll knock these studs out. Run to cam loops. Grab some new studs. And yeah, that's what holds these drums on. Wheels go on here. Allen keys hold this. Oh, that came off pretty easy. It's nice when it's new. Normally this is rusted out. I guess this is a good example of how air brakes work now. We say S-cam. So what happens is the brake pot goes onto the, right here. The air applies, pushes this rod out. This S-cam rotates and pushes these drums into the brake.
As you can see guys, this is why it's called an S-cam. If you look at the shape of it, it looks like an S.
And now we got to do a brake job too.
We're gonna have to take the brake pads off to get the bolts out.
These are some chonking brake pads.
Thankfully, that's something that they're gonna be able to do while I'm doing the parts run here. We only need to bring one of those bolts to cam loops to get it sized and make sure we're right.
And then another depressing bad news. Supplier called. We were supposed to get the back end for the generator here, you know, that makes it the level 4 fast charger. Basically the back end of the generator that's supposed to go on. He called me 20-30 minutes ago. They sent it to Minneapolis instead for some reason. It was supposed to arrive this morning. Give a phone call and be like, oh, where is it? They're like, oh yeah, it arrived, but it arrived in Minneapolis. So now I'll have to wait on customs paperwork, get it shipped up to Canada, multiple days of trucking, and that's what we were hoping. The cab is all done. The cab is ready to wire. We could just throw this cab on. And we're like, oh, well, let's wait a while because it'd be way easier to mount the generator if the cab's not in the way. We could just slide it in, use the overhead crane. No big deal. We got plenty of room to work on it, throw bolts. So let's leave the cab off. But now the generator's going to be a couple weeks. Like, just when you think you're winning, you're like, oh, we might make it. We might actually make this truck show.
So I guess our viewers, the batteries are on the way. The batteries are...
They're supposed to be here at 1 o'clock today.
They're supposed to be here at 1 o'clock today, so there's a good possibility that tomorrow we're going to be headed to Kamloops to bring the batteries back ourselves, and that will be a great thing.
Yeah, these are the new ones. As you can see, that little bit, that ½ an inch is all we need. we also found out what the problem was with it. You know, we measured it and the planetary rims are 1 inch thick on the rim itself. So in here is 1 inch. So you put two of them together, that's 2 inches. What am I saying? It's a long day, end of the day. Today we are doing the glass for our cab. This glass. So basically what he did is, glass guys came out here this morning, we missed them on the video, but you put a bunch of cardboard up, you cut the cardboard out to the dimension, take the cardboard in the glass shop, and we'll go have a look at them and show you how the process of cutting flat glass works.
The other side, and the fun part, some ethyl alcohol.
That loosens up the polyvinyl center.
Right now we're just mounting all these cab mounts on. Rear cab mounts, front cab mounts. Airbags go on top, but we're getting ready to put that cab on, so we're just changing them out. Now that everything is done, everything is painted, we're putting in the proper grade 8 bolts. Hopefully once this is on, it doesn't have to come off anymore. Well, we've been mounting the cab. My dad and Ray here have been working on our front grille. So this is the front Edison grille. Halfway done. Okay, we got the new wheel studs in here finally, so actually that was only a 2-day wait, so that's not that bad. We'll throw them in here and then we get the tires mounted. So with these planetary wheel studs, you'll notice they're notched on the top. These planetaries are a little big, but this notch holds those bolts centered from turning too. Still lined up. There we go. Screwdriver, impact, some matrices. We just got the new studs put in. Now we're gonna see if the new studs were long enough and if it works.
This is the moment of truth. We were hung up, the aluminum wheels were a lot thicker, our studs were not long enough, we managed to source longer studs. Ooh yeah, I see quite a bit sticking out there.
Yeah, a bit, but not a ton. Oh, we just didn't have it right. Here, you shove, let me tighten it, and okay, wiggle the tires as I go. Okay. Never mind, hold on, we might be okay. Okay, I think we got it. Nice!
How's it look?
We did it.
We got threads sticking out?
It belongs there, guys.
We have a truck. Oh, good job, guys. Oh, that was my bad arm. I love this. I love using the light bars as the cab lights. And yes, they do have the E stamp, so they're legal on a truck in BC. I don't know about the rules anywhere else, but they're legal in BC to have these like this.
So Theo, today what we got done is we got the cab mounted on. We have the hood, thank you, hood mounted on. We have two 5/8 bolts on all 4 corners of the hood. We got an 1/8 inch rubber, nice little bit of isolation, keep the vibrations down. We got the radiator mounted in, it's all bolted nice and tight.
Yeah, so to do the radiator, we had to take a piece of pipe and an old socket and, you know, customize, as well as we had to make rubber chunks so we could insulate the bottom skid plate. That there's 4 bolts going up and hanging onto the suspension bracket, so the bumper is mounted to the frame rail, the skid plate is connected to the suspension, and we took those 1/8 chunks of rubbers there and just kind of torched them all together.
Today the batteries just arrived at Flowdraulic and Kamloops. This is my first time seeing them. Eric saw them at the actual manufacturing facility, but it's my first time. Cool. These are them.
Yeah, so this is one of the modules. We got 8 of them in total, and 4 of them we're going to take home today, and then 4 of them are actually going to ship all the way out to Flowdraulics in Toronto so they can configure the BMS, which is the battery management system.
Okay, right now we're just mounting up the flywheel. The generator is on his way. Nigel's hot-shotting that over to Kelowna, so we're gonna get this flywheel mounted to the back of the flywheel housing, and the adapter plates are being shipped out right now to us. They should be here hopefully in a couple days. So this generator is going in. Exciting.
Damn fucking right! Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You guys look pretty cute.
All right, that generator that we had the shipping delay on showed up. Nigel himself went and picked it up right from the warehouse, brought it over. Everyone's met Nigel before. Oh, maybe.
Oh, yeah, that's
That looks good.
Whoa.
Here we go. This is our generator that finally arrived today. This is the Danfoss EMPMI 2000 T2000. I'm never remembering that. We just been calling it the 2000. This is an IP68 waterproof, dustproof, liquid cooled generator. So this generator here produces about 300 to 350 kilowatts of power. This is the plate. We're waiting for our adapter plate to come to Kamloops. Theron's gonna go grab that tomorrow. This mounts up, but if you have a look, if we just circle around the entire thing, as you can see on the back end here, completely waterproof. The connections are on the top end, so they're gonna stay out of the mud. This thing really is made to be an off-highway unit. This thing is really skookum. I'm really impressed with this thing. I've been so happy that this has been here all day. We've been checking this thing out. I think these are going to be the future of the trucking industry. We know this is the right size, so we can test our generator size by sticking this in there. Right here, this is the adapter plate we need to go from an SAE 1 to an SAE half. So you can see this is the size of the flywheel housing for the generator. This is the size of the one we got. So we're gonna stick these countersunk bolts in, bolt the one up, bolt the next one up. All right, we can bring this box in.
Is he in a cast?
Yeah. I got a broken hand yesterday while drilling. It was pretty brutal. Yeah. Ended up just, at the end of the day, last drill hole of the day was just going to be like really thin sheet metal for the brake light box. And yeah, the whole thing kicked back and totally threw my hand and my pinky finger out. Ended up breaking not 1 but 2 metacarpals. So I'm going to cast here for the next 4 weeks. It's pretty lame.
Right now we're just putting the battery boxes in. So these are where our batteries are going. We're putting in the cross members, the batteries, the airbags, just doing a whole test fit, make sure it all fits, get the holes drilled out on the side of the flange later. Batteries won't actually be going in for about another 2 weeks, but we've got to make sure it fits now at this stage. Okay, we're just drilling the last few holes, but we got it up, we got the spacing right, so we're gonna drill these holes. Next time we're gonna fab up some cross members, get those in there, get the shocks mounted, airbags are all in. Everything seems to be working, the fitment was right, so we're on the right track.
Right now I'm getting all the shipping caught up and done and getting my bag ready. In the morning, 3 in the morning, driving to Vancouver, hopping on an airplane and flying to Toronto. I'm flying to Toronto to bring you guys a video of the E-axles being tested. They're there, they're hooked up, and they're undergoing their testing, so that's gonna be super cool to see. And yeah. First up is Harjinder. Harjinder has handled a ton of our user interface design for Edison Motors, and he's gonna kind of give a
a quick show of how some of that works.
So these are the charging screens. So this is what you'll see when the truck is plugged in. As soon as you turn the key on, you're sitting in the truck, you turn the key on, this is what your splash screens are going to look like. Both will stay Edison Motors. These are the initial, just showing you the animations here, but these are the actual animations that you'll see on the truck. The left screen is driver focused, drive focused. You'll see air tank levels, fuel levels, general temperature, your estimated range, your engine RPM if the generator is working or not, and then your speed as well. The right side of the screen is all about battery management services. You'll see battery state of charge, what the combined estimated range is, even your consumption chart from the past 15 miles. If you want to see how your individual components are doing, and if you want to diagnose something, you can click on the diagnostics, and this is what your diagnostic screens will look like. The screens will also have your I/O. It'll show you the tier 4 faults, your fault codes, your previous and your current fault codes. So let's say if you have a fault, high temperature warning, there will be a pop-up that'll come up in just a few seconds. So this will be your pop-up. This is something that we are very proud of. These screens are IP67 certified. These are versatile touch screens, and again, they're gonna flank each side of the driver, and they're gonna look amazing.
This is one of the display for the Edison truck. It's completely touchscreen, completely programmed in the C language, and so all the graphics that I received from Harjinder, I compiled them on using the C language to make this display possible. Right now we are on the main dashboard. I'm gonna simulate a message coming from my laptop, so you can see all the bars and the speed gauge. So on this display you will see all the air on the tank level for tank 1 and tank 2. Also it will show you the temperature for the generator and how much fuel you're left. You can also see how the speed the truck is traveling, and there's also a graph here that you can visually see down at the bottom here. When this display is connected to the truck, you will see the total miles, estimated range, engine RPM, battery, and air pressure. You will also see like error messages popping out if there's some. And to go to the main menu, just press there. Settings, we can adjust the brightness of the screen. Also change the unit to imperial. So right now it's in Fahrenheit and miles per hour for the speed.
This is the power distribution unit, typical of a battery electric or hybrid electric vehicle, contained within a headache rack. You can see contactors, you can see custom machined bus bar, you can see high voltage fusing, pre-charge components, all controlled within the microcontroller. Within the center compartment of the headache rack, we have a couple different Editron converters. These are focused on controlling the generator, DC-DC conversion between the battery and the rest of the components, as well as the controller for the electric braking. It's all high voltage meaning the 600 volt network on the truck, controlled locally from within the headache rack. All liquid cooled. The connections aren't done yet, but it will all be connected to the glycol on the truck.
So because of our learning experience with the 4 batteries versus the 8, we can't get full voltage to the e-axles in this building. But part of the design importance here is communication between all the various components. We've got e-axle controllers, we have the whole power distribution unit, you have battery management systems, and all of that communication, both one direction to get the information and sending, which you would call bidirectional communication, is critical. So part of our setup here is utilizing motion of the e-axle to make sure that we're getting all our communication across the system. Bit of a break here to be able to test that.
Update on truck progress. We got our low bed ramps all flanged up here. The main goal of this is when you have your 5th wheel and you're picking up a low trailer, this just lifts it up, slides the trailer along the top so that it can slide into the 5th wheel. Also on a logging Jeep setup. Now, these rails you see here aren't as smooth, they don't drop down quite as far as a normal low bed rails, but these are for our logging Jeep. So it's just meant to take our short Jeep, lift it up. It's not going to lift the long Jeep but it will lift a short Jeep. Other good news of things actually arriving, our fuel tanks are here. We got 600 liters of fuel capacity, which is probably a lot more than our truck needs to get through a day, but I hate fueling up. But yeah, these are our tanks. In hindsight, once we mounted them up, I probably, instead of going with a 26-inch diameter tank, I would have went with a 22 to increase the ground clearance. But that was very obvious once we got the truck on, not as obvious as before. Lessons learned for the next truck. The other thing, we were able to get our air tanks actually installed. Coming up next, we're gonna start running our air lines, our air fittings. Because we have no drive line, we put our air tanks right in the frame rail. Instead of having them off to the side or hanging down low somewhere, we figured, well, you can't get a more secure place for your airline fittings than being right inside your frame rail. They're not gonna hang low, they're not gonna get caught up on anything. Ground clearance is good, so that's at least one more thing notched off the list. Other good news, Ray got the electric vehicle component radiator installed today. So this provides all the cooling for our batteries, the electric motors, really those two things. The inverter, or one of the inverters also uses coolant. But that's gonna make sure our batteries stay cool while we're using them and charging them. It's a lot bigger than what we need, but I'm a firm believer it's better to have more coolant than not enough coolant. And the other cool thing is Jerry from Misabi Radiator stopped by the shop today. They're gonna help us to design our own radiator that'll just do both jobs in one without having to worry about it. Misabi is the only radiator that Mark will run up at the Red Dog mine in Alaska. In their whole trucks, they say that they are absolutely the best radiator that you can buy, hands down, bar none, in a truck. We got our cab mounts fully done up. They're painted, they're reinstalled. Airbags are there. I'm just waiting on the bolts for the shocks, so we have a block of wood in there for now, but yeah, and the torque arm is also on here for the cab. That's gonna keep the cab level, straight and back, and allow it to move up and down, side to side. Today, I'm at a higher stress level than I normally am, which is already pretty high. Our headache rack was supposed to be here 4 days ago. Basically, Flowdraulic shipped it out right after Theron's video. Literally, as soon as he was done filming, they loaded that headache rack up, put it on a truck, and then we hired a company to expedite ship it. Like, team drive it, dedicated one truck, not bring it, loads it in Flowdraulic, drives it directly here so we could get it as fast as we could, because we need it. It has all of the controls that run everything in our truck, and we need to have this installed. They hired one trucking company. These guys then hired somebody else to haul it, some other company that, dear God, never heard of before. Nobody would ever know about it. It was supposed to be here last weekend. It's now been 8 days. 8 days on what we were promised was 3 days. My stress level is getting high. We only have 4 weeks left to get this truck done. With delays like generator delays that we've been having, their shipping delays, the delays on this headache rack now, it being lost is not good. I'm gonna be calling CH Transport here. Apparently they want me to give them a call because they got a lot of negative Google reviews. It's funny how I spent 4 hours on the phone just trying to get a hold of somebody to track this package, but now that they got a few negative Google reviews, suddenly the general manager wants to talk to me immediately about this shipment.
So we are in Sorrento running, I don't know, an intercept, watching him for him to come down the highway, and then we're gonna follow him and make sure that he makes it to Merritt. If this guy tries to stop and counters or something, I'll be shaking his truck and making sure he doesn't sleep here. The guy's moving over.
We were very clear that this is an important time delivery. That was one of the very things that we were adamant on, is that the time was of the essence. Flowdraulic worked tons of overtime hours to get this thing done. We now have to, I have to bring all my staff in at multiple overtime hours. This thing should have been here 4 days ago. It's an important piece of a multi-million-dollar piece of equipment that needs to be delivered in 3 weeks now. We were not told, you just gave the load out to some random trucking company. We hired you to move it. That guy broke down for 4 or 5 days with an important piece of equipment. I would have sent another truck. I would have had a tow truck pin onto it. I would have sent my own truck for it. That is the ridiculous part of this whole thing, is that this piece is so critically important to our business to make it here in time that it could end up costing us $7 million. If this piece in lost contract, if this piece is not here. The frustrating part is that I spent 3-4 hours tracking this thing down, and I was lied to by your guys several times. That's what ticked me off, is that finally after like 3-4 hours of on the phone with your guy, finally got the number, found out who that the load was contracted out, bid out to somebody else, and that the guy was broke down for 4 days. That is what really, really just made me so angry, is that all of a sudden, like, oh, well, your guy didn't care about this part, or didn't relay the information, didn't put any post-haste on it. And it's when I complain online and say that, hey, CH lost his part. Because when I made that video, we didn't know where this thing was.
Stress level is monumental. We actually had a meeting to prep everyone. No stupid questions. Stress level's max right now.
That's looking real good. You can cut hard.
Let me go back as far as I can.
Yeah, you're good there.
You're all good.
You're good. Straight back.
So that the back end of Dave can grab it. Okay.
Here we go.
Find out.
Nice.
Well,
so far so good.
So far so good.
Great. Yeah, check it out. This part's bent up in forklift, so something's picked up on it, but we'll find out if we get her unloaded here.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Yep. On Dave. On Dave. Okay, on up Dave. Clear.
On your left side, right? Coming on your right.
Okay.
There, on here.
Somebody tell me when I'm about to walk off, please. You'll notice a big drop. Keep swinging. I am. That's back swing. Okay. Okay, down.
That was stressful. That was very stressful. Couldn't tell.
Okay, let's get that up. You're good.
Now turn it that way. Yeah, there you go.
Commentary at the end of the day. We're tired. It's late. We're getting it off. We're gonna check, see if there's damage in the morning. Well, we got everything here. It's late in the night. We're gonna come back out here tomorrow, check out the condition, make sure nothing was damaged, everything's okay. It's here. I think we're probably gonna look back on this in like 2 or 3 years, hopefully, and laugh.
It'll be nice to look back on our humble beginnings.
Look back on the humble beginnings, yeah. I mean, hell, everyone started. You look at all the big companies, Microsoft, Disney, Amazon, all started in like a garage, a shop, or whatever. And so it's just, you know, make do with what you got. We got everything unboxed. Thank God there was nothing actually damaged. So that is a huge, huge relief. We got our headache rack here. We got the rest of our batteries here. We got our control systems here. So now it's going to be a mad dash to the finish line.
Is this stressful?
This is a little stressful. We've only, we only have our entire custom EDU and all the brains for this truck being lifted by a 30-year-old backhoe.
How are we making out?
Good. We got the headache rack up there. It's going good. These guys know what they're doing. Send her a little more. Good.
It's perfectly designed and engineered for those grab arms.
Actually, that worked out perfect. Our measurement was bang on down the side. Literally, this is the thing I was worried about the entire build. Since we started designing this headache rack, getting this up and onto the truck. This is the one thing that we had no chance to get. We did anything else wrong, we could fix it. We dent a door, whatever, we could fix it. This is the one thing that had to go perfect. And it did. So right now we're just running all the high voltage cable. This is the cabling that drives the electric motors. We left a bunch of extra slack on here just because I'm not entirely sure how much Flowdraulic wants. But it's gonna go into the inverters. Basically just plug and play into the inverter, and the back of the headache rack has plugs to take all that inverter power, run it up into the thing. So if you need to field service it, everything else is protected. Undo a bolt, take your wire out, replace your wire. There's 3 wires.
Why did we put Eric in the middle?
Yeah, the guy with the broken hand is doing the lip thing. Okay guys, I'm excited. Today Flowdraulic is coming out here all the way from Ontario, and they're coming out here to help push us through to make sure that we can hit that show in 2-3 weeks time.
What are we doing right now?
Oh, we're just lifting the generator. We're gonna put it onto the transmission jack, get it slided it onto the frame rail, so we can get the adapter plate mounted on tomorrow when it arrives.
This is perfect.
Used to be a tire guy and do this all the time.
Wow, that was awesome. This thing looks cool in here. Here, let me press the camera. This is actually really cool, seeing the generator finally under the truck. Tomorrow the adapter plate comes in to actually mount it. Fingers crossed. Don't promise me on that, we've had nothing but trouble, but it should be. And with any good luck, good Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise, this thing will be mounted tomorrow. Or in a month.
See ya.
Hey, Drew, Chase.
And Michael.
Good to meet ya.
Looking good.
Yeah, the axles look great.
I'm guessing you guys have done a ton of work in the last couple of days, because when I last watched a video, it was not this far along.
No.
You must have flown through it the last couple.
These guys have been just putting, over the last 4 days, have put in so much overtime and so many extra hours that it's been insane. We really were. We had not a single wire ran, not a single thing hooked up 3-4 days ago. We gotta put the steering wheel on, we gotta put the seat in, put a headliner in, sound system. Steve, you better run through on the electric side what you want to have done and what you, for the electrical.
Well, on the high voltage side, we have to make all these connections into the power distribution unit. We need to run all the cables between all the different battery sections. It's 2 different sets of 4 that are in parallel, but the 4 in series. Run all that in. It's all distributed inside. That wiring's all done. Needs to run to all the different HV devices. So we've got DC-DC, we've got the 3-in-1 DC-DC / power steering / air compressor. All the low voltage control, especially CAN bus wiring, we need to make sure that's all done. There is a total of 6 separate CAN buses on this truck. So we have to make sure those are run to minimize noise, because electric vehicles are very, very challenging to minimize noise electrically. Lots of cab wiring I think still needs to be done, including the computers up in there.
I think the computers in there is really
a little bit of that. Once we've got all that hooked up, then we start doing a low voltage startup eventually, where we just worry about turning things on, no high voltage whatsoever. High voltage comes after. And then we start working towards the fun part of really turning this into a truck.
Okay, so an exciting day today. We're gonna mount the generator, get that all flanged up onto the motor, and we're gonna bring the batteries inside and start putting the batteries in the frame rail. So that's exciting. The parts that make an electric truck are going in today.
And what are you most nervous about?
The entire thing. I am nervous about the entire thing. It's not that it's never necessarily hard to do. It's just stressful because we've never done it before. And we have no room to make a mistake. If we damage anything or break anything, we're done. No making the show. We were thinking, because you know, you should have some kind of indication that your high voltage lines are orange. They're orange underneath. They're orange where they go into the motor. So where you're going to service these lines are orange.
but we figured we'd put a little bit of ribbon around them. But at least it's given something. I've also ordered a couple metal tags, like metal orange tags that'll be engraved off of here, and then the tag definitely won't fall off. So we are taking a few steps to indicate that it's high voltage, but we cannot get that that orange wear material in time. And other kind of silly things. So these are our CAN bus communication lines, the ones that tell you your temperature of your axles, all that. They're not high voltage, but this CAN bus line got sent in orange. So right now, currently, our high voltage lines are black and our low voltage lines are orange. We gotta switch those. In other updates, we've been running our coolant lines, so all of our cooling system is installed in the headache rack. As you can see here, this is our coolant line. It is super skookum, basically a hydraulic line that we're using as coolant. This is not gonna wear, you're not gonna blow out coolant lines. Anything that goes down your frame rails should be wear resistant. Your frame rail takes the most punishment. You've got road salt, you've got mud, you've got stones, you've got corrosion. Anything along this frame rail, you also just have vibration and wear. Anything on this frame rail should be thick, wear resistant, insulated. It's just gonna save you problems in the long run. So yes, if you look at these big ass hoses, this is just so we can get that coolant, a little bit of coolant back there. We have the train horns on the roof. We also have these solar panels here. We decided to put solar panels because these are going to keep your lead acid batteries maintained, topped up. Your lead acid does all your low voltage systems. So basically, if you park this thing and you leave it, this will just keep a nice trickle charge going in there. It's not a huge amount of power, but it'll keep the batteries topped up. It'll keep the systems maintained going. It's space. Why wouldn't you put a few solar panels on the roof of the truck? That's just space you can use.
Yeah, so guys, what we ended up building here was a low voltage distribution system where you have two 12-volt batteries creating that 24-volt circuit. That's actually what powers the cab and most of the low voltage electronics. The coolest thing about this is actually it's got a 120-volt inverter. So you actually have power to use. We're just putting on the faceplate now. So you'll be able to, take power for whatever you want. It could be for, your countless things, quite frankly. That's actually going to go up to the cab as well. So the cab's going to have 120-volt power. So you can plug in your phones, you can plug in, anything, cameras, you name it. Now, another cool feature about this there, and you should probably poke the camera in this way, we got a solar charge controller. The solar charge controller actually produces solar electricity for the 24-volt system. Therefore, the computers, all the electronics on the system will always be fully charged, which is a really good feature, right? Like, you always want to make sure that those batteries are perfectly charged and at perfect health. And yeah, I think I did a pretty good explanation on the 120-volt system. All we're trying to do there is make sure that our clients have a cool source of power. Now, we haven't done the 3-phase power yet, but that's coming soon.
This is the adapter plate. This is what takes us from the SAE 1 bell housing to an SAE 0.5 flywheel housing.
This was the piece that caused us a little bit of grief?
Yes.
A little bit of grief for sure.
These three assemblies. So there's an inner ring that's going to bring it out 2 inches so that the adapter plate fits in. Then there's the adapter ring. You can see this outside size here is the SAE 1. That's this bolt pattern. This is the SAE half bolt pattern. And then we put the generator onto here. This was the main piece we were waiting on. This is the coupler that couples the electric motor, electric generator to the diesel flywheel.
Looks pretty good. We're coming up pretty soon here. Can we go before we hit? Yeah, I wanted to move it as head as far as I could for another inch or so.
Yeah. Just slight movements because it doesn't take much.
Yeah. Keep pushing.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Very good. Okay. Now we wait.
Oh, we're picking up the batteries here, getting them all stacked on top of each other. Once we got them stacked on top of each other, we'll bring them into the shop and then put them into the frame rail. You know, for the CEO of a tech company, I sure spend an awful lot of time running a backhoe. I'm almost wondering other plan. We remove this cross member entirely. We spin that sheet of steel so it's laying this way. We drop it in, we drop it down onto the tranny jack, and we just slide the whole thing back. We lift it up, we slide it back, we install this cross member, put the airbags under, bring the next one in.
I'm open to either way, honestly.
I think that way is probably going to be the safest, other than trying to slide it, and then what happens when we get to this point in the sliding and it drops, and then
It's true. Okay.
I think that's going to be a little bit more work, but I think it's going to be a little bit more safer and a little bit more control.
It's only 8 volts.
Yep. Yep. All right.
Explain this to me like I'm 5.
I don't understand myself.
They're in the wrong frame.
They're in the wrong
They're
cages.
in the right 2 batteries.
We've got B's and A's in the truck frame, and you need all A's in the truck frame, all B's in the side boxes.
So it's just the ones out there that you can swap, and they're the easiest. You put it together this morning.
There's 2 by the trailer that are on the ground, but some people...
You left before we could talk about it. Like, let's just go out there and have this discussion, because this one's fine. Like, I don't understand why we're meeting in here.
Any setback. We're actually still really on track for what we want to do today. Let's get this first part of the process started so we can get that happening.
The more I learn about electric vehicles, the more they are starting to annoy me.
Deep breaths. Goose frabas.
So we just had almost close call that we caught right away.
I would say I didn't save the day, but I made our lives a bit difficult, but it was the right call. So
what happened?
What we have to do is just make sure the batteries are actually in the right place in the truck. We were about to sort of place half of the batteries in the wrong place, and it made our lives impossible because we might have to pull the whole thing out. So it's good that we checked. We're going to have A1, 2, 3, 4 together in series, and then the ones on the side boxes are going to be B's, and that'll be B1, 2, 3, 4.
B's in the center.
You're right, actually it's the opposite. Thanks, man.
We got a seat.
What do you think? Comfy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we got the low profile seat, so you can ride with your seat slammed all the way to the floor, and honestly, that's not bad.
You can still see over your hood? Or,
no, but you got the side windows. I mean, what Peterbilt driver can see over their hood anyways?
Right?
You gotta run that low profile view.
What Zach's doing here, he's building a plate for the VCU modules. We got 2 of these puppies. So this one is more of a security check system, but this guy here, this is called a vehicle control unit, and there's tons of pins as you can see, and this actually controls the entire truck. So we're going to be mounting this directly on top of our DC and I guess you call it low voltage boxes with fusing. And it's really cool, right? So on the driver's side of the truck, you have everything. We have fuses for all our low voltage signals, cables, 12 volt, 24 volts, and you have the computer. So it's all in one really nice tucked away spot. We're not going to hide this stuff. We're going to put it above the headliner. So for serviceability, it's going to be super easy.
Michael here made us up our side boxes. Perfect timing because we literally need these now. See, this is why you go with local manufacturing. You needed these parts ASAP. He rushed them, got them done. I think today may have been one of the most productive days we've ever had. Big thanks to Flowdraulic, all the guys out here working, the Edison crew, really just packed it in today. Show you a few things that we got done. We've got the generator in here mounted. We have the 3-phase wires coming off of it. We have the batteries actually mounted into the frame rail where they're supposed to be on their airbags. We've got the seat mounted in the cab. That's cool. We have the battery management system installed on top. So not only did we get the batteries in, but we have the battery management system installed, ready to go, waiting for the battery connections to run into it.
How relieved are you about the generator and the batteries?
So relieved.
The fact that the batteries went in there, the fact that we got the BMS in there, the fact that the generator fit, because if you notice, there is like just a half a centimeter of clearance, almost no room. It's just, today is the day that this thing looks like an electric truck. Today is the day where I finally was able to look at this truck and be like, yes, we built an electric truck. Doesn't run yet, but we're getting there. Well, hold on, let Ray get into position first.
All right, Ray, any final wrap-up words?
Thank God they're in.
How would you say that out of 10?
What, for suckage? 10.
There we go, folks. We have batteries in now. We did the thing. Time for batteries number 3 and 4. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so second battery, just getting tightened up.
Oh, baby. Get you home.
Hold on, hold on.
There we are. Come on.
All right, get the fuck
All
out of here.
tension off. See you later.
You work fast. I had literally enough time to grab the backhoe and grab a couple things off the ground, and you already had that battery in.
Pass me that guy.
I literally had 30 seconds. It took you 30 seconds to put that battery in.
Hey,
I grabbed 6 things off the ground to come give you a hand.
Do you want to give a debrief on the battery guys?
These guys got the batteries in wicked quick. End of debrief. The batteries are in though. The passenger side batteries in. The driver's side batteries are in. Now our electrification experts will be able to connect the batteries to the BMS system underneath the cab. And we are rocking and rolling this Saturday. It's going well. I think it's pretty well going well. This was the last major mechanical thing to go on. I mean, some hood panels, the doors, all relatively minor things. Now it's up to the experts to do what they do best.
We did it. So what I'm doing is trying to manage some of the crap that we got going on under here.
Cable management.
Cable management system is kind of what we're calling it.
All right, everybody, you may know me. I'm Big Easy. Chase has invited us over here, me and my brother-in-law, Uncle Bobo. I am here due to my diesel mechanic and power generation background. So what we've done is we've built a plate right here to hold the housing. Now you may notice there isn't a alternator or anything else on the front of this engine. There's a reason for that. We don't need one. Stay tuned, there'll be more on that later. Super easy access for this. That's how easy it is to get that sucker off of there. And here's a look at the plate that Bobo and I put together. Super simple, run the lines from the oil down here. Now this cat uses Huey injectors. So right in this manifold here is where it goes from high pressure to low pressure and then gets filtered. So I'll throw the filter back on, oil in, and then oil can come out either one of these if you have something else that needs to be oiled with filtered oil, etc. When you're innovating, you got to be able to roll with the punches and come up with new ideas. Example real quick, this tensioner isn't going to work for the belt. Now we've gone from having to run an alternator, the big fan, power steering pump, etc., to just the water pump.
And that's because the truck's not running all the time, right?
That's right. The truck doesn't need to run all the time. And when it is running, it only needs to run the water pump. On this truck, if you're not driving it, say you park the truck and you walk away from it, you got all the lights left on, it's just sitting there. Even if you don't factor in the solar, it can sit for like over a month with everything on, and you'll still be able to crank it off those batteries. Because the big batteries running through this electronic alternator will keep them charged, and you'll be good to go after a month. Up to like 40 days even, without even factoring in the solar panels. One more thing I wanna cover here, gang. I've seen a few comments asking about how does this big heavy truck with air brakes have reliable air brakes if this air compressor isn't always run by the engine. Now you'll notice, unlike on a smaller 3 or 5 ton, it's not run by a belt or anything. This is a crank-driven Bendix air compressor. Now, when the engine is running, yes, it will produce air. But here's the beauty part. Check this out.
When the diesel engine isn't running, we got an electric air compressor back here. It's a dual redundant system. So, don't have a diesel, you got electric air. If something happens to the electric air, it goes down, you got diesel air.
Are those things on?
no matter what, something's gonna get you home.
So guys, this is like super exciting. We're doing the low voltage testing for the very first time. Guys from Flow are pushing code to the computers on board the truck. And Dan's actually using the heat gun just to make sure that our low voltage are not getting too hot. So it's pretty important. We're kind of vigilant. You know, I got my eyes on everything, but hopefully this goes well.
This is a big day. We are connecting all the high voltage lines up. So batteries were connected. We're now connecting those batteries to the battery management system, and then the battery management system and through the headache rack, the power distribution unit, and we're going to be starting testing all the things. This is the part where I kind of step back a little bit and let the guys that are much smarter than me start doing some connecting.
So yeah, just about to start testing here and hope it all goes well. Fingers crossed.
3, 2, 1, go.
Contact.
560 volts.
We have Drew in high voltage gloves. We have Dan with a fire extinguisher. Dead man works. We heard clicking.
We're good?
Great job, Steve.
Awesome.
560.
Perfect. It was a boring video, and that's exactly what we needed. Everything, the high voltage, nothing blew up. So we can go ahead with the testing on the next step now. Update, the CAT diesel generator is now communicating. We've got that all pinned in. We got a CAT technician coming next week just to finalize it, but our computer is communicating with the CAT, so that's a big step. Big step, battery management system. So before in the last video, we had the high voltage lines going from the battery to the BMS. Now the lines go from the BMS over and up into the headache rack. Okay, I'm just building the last air fitting here. It's for the train horn. As soon as I get this on there, I'll connect it, and then we can do a pressure test of the system. This is the last air fitting we need, besides the trailer brake, because I'm just waiting on a double check valve. I gotta pick that up Monday. But other than that, we can test it, see if the truck brakes release, everything, the gauges all work the way they should, hopefully. Okay, a lot of people are wondering how the air compressor is gonna work on this electric truck. What we got here is just a tow behind. We strap this to the rear bumper, and then you just run your 110 line from your inverter box over to this, and this just follows along on its little wheels.
Turning it on. Last note is anything on the gauges.
So we have fired up the generator and we are charging the air tanks, and we're gonna listen for air leaks.
I'm just watching the primary, secondary gauge here to see if we're building pressure. It takes a while. You're gonna hear a big air leak. Oh, set it off. It's gonna blow. One fitting wasn't tightened up.
So as you see, there's an air breather now going in. So that's been working really hard on that this morning. And then we're also working on testing the axles for the very first time, which is just so cool. Like, I can't wait to see them turn. It could be in the next few hours, could be the next few minutes.
What were you doing, Steve?
We are going to put power to the inverter for the first time. We're enabling each piece one at a time, validating that no new faults are created with the addition of a new component, validating the voltage is rising as it should, and monitoring faults at all points. Now we are adding in the fuse to connect power to the inverters for the first time, and once that is complete, we're going to watch that, ensure it's pre-charging correctly. At that point, we're ready to start spinning the motors and see if this thing moves.
Well, it's very exciting because once we do power on the inverters for the very first time, we actually get to see if everything is working. And then one at a time, we can start testing the other high voltage stuff, such as the onboard charger, the DC to DC, and also our air compressor and power steering pump. So today's the day. Hopefully we get it all figured out.
We want a fire extinguisher person as well.
Yeah,
we have two. I've got Deadman and one.
No, give that to someone else. Your likely fire spots are here, here, and here. It won't be anything past there.
I'll be the stopwatch person.
Okay, I'm gonna yell out battery on at some point. Drew's gonna periodically yell out voltages. Once he yells a voltage that's higher than 550, that's when we want to stop time.
This first test should be uninteresting. We should see absolutely nothing happen. That would be the ideal scenario.
Okay, I'm gonna push the disconnects in.
Disconnects in. All clear?
Clear.
Disconnects in. Hold the button.
Holding button.
Battery on. Battery going live. 3, 2, 1.
Starting timer.
You got 560?
560, and the other one is
0.
Sitting at 0. All right. Reset your timer.
Because you're watching this.
Okay, it's reset. Started.
3, 2, 1, go. Are you going up, Drew?
Yep.
5 or 6. It has a little bit of a curve to it, but it's still pretty straight shot.
Yeah, it's 5 seconds.
5 seconds is pretty good.
556.8.
Battery going on.
Yep, 560. Holding at 560.
Okay, Drew, your thing's about to come on.
Okay. Jumping up to 560, 556. Holding at 556.
Yeah, 4.8 seconds, give or take.
You're getting 5 seconds.
Yep.
Our pre-charge is working.
Wheel speed?
Yeah, so that one is definitely doing something.
Okay. And you tried 2 as well?
Yep.
So right now we are rotating the wheels to see if the computer picks it up.
Yeah, I'm getting 2 as well. Awesome.
Great success. Reading number 1 and 2 axles.
We verified some communication on the motor to inverter side. Found a couple wiring problems that we're in the process of working down, and throughout the night we'll hunt more of those down and hopefully get this more worked out for tomorrow.
Okay, some good things today. We didn't blow anything up, we didn't catch anything on fire, we didn't kill anyone, and we didn't have to call the fire department. So we're winning on that aspect. And no, on actual thing, we did get some things going good. We got power going to the inverter, the high voltage going to the inverter. We did a few tests, we got the brakes released, we got the tires rolling. We could see that the computer was seeing the wheel speed. We did find we got to fix a few little minor wiring issues, a couple little bad pin connections. We're going to spend tomorrow morning kind of working on that. But overall, I think today went pretty well as far as testing going. Like I said, there's not a lot of exciting things. It's a slow process.
I mean, we were hoping that we'd get the wheels to spin under their own power today. So it's a little bit of a setback that way, but I think we're still really well set up for that to happen.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I was like, best case scenario,
Absolutely.
wheels spinning. It's still...
But we're still on track for that in the next day.
What's happening today?
Just some low voltage wiring verification.
Have we solved our wiring challenges?
I guess we'll find out. We found some wire breaks that have been addressed.
So we're doing some more testing today, and I made quite a few mistakes on my end in terms of making a lot of butt connections on the wires. We took yesterday to fix all those problems.
So is the objective here to just get the computer communicating with the sensor then?
It's to validate wiring harnessing that we found some issues with. We got to check communication, we got to check we're getting temperatures, we got to check we're still getting our road speed, all that good stuff.
So Dean's been working away all day here.
Yeah.
Grinding away on the fenders, this is?
Things of beauty.
It is.
We will not have a do not step sign on this fender.
Honestly, I really love the looks of this truck. Like, you can full on jump on their hood. That's probably thicker than a hood needs to be. But you could drop a log on it, you could miss with your wrappers.
Great news, the power steering pump works, the air compressor works. It's a good day. That's a solid win.
Okay, we got a bunch of interior lights, light towers brought into the shop. We're working on a few things. One of the pins was wrong on the harness, so we switched that pin, and now we have temperature sensors, and we didn't have that before. So that's progress in the right direction so far.
Couldn't you just speed test to can 5?
What does that say?
0.0. Okay, that's good.
Can you please move to the next pin mark? We're preparing to set the various things we need to set the parameters on the axle.
Are you feeling confident?
I'm optimistic. Let's hope, but if it doesn't work, I'm not going to be too heartbroken. But if it works, I'm going to be overjoyed.
Once we have this sort of going, we have to set about 15 parameters, so please no one bother us during that. When we're doing this, there's a sequence we're doing it in, so I want to pay attention to that. Okay, low voltage power going on.
Okay.
Okay, battery going on. Drew should have nothing.
Still 0.
Pre-charge about to start.
IPU voltage.
Drew.
Jumping to 540.
IPU 540.
540. What's the? Do we have any errors?
No, nothing at all.
Anything interesting? What's your voltage, Drew?
560.
You're 560? Okay, now you're going to do your next step. You're ready on the kill switch?
Yep.
Who's ready on the fire extinguisher?
Here.
This is the moment.
It's trying.
I hear it.
It's trying hard. I can hear it.
Up the speed to 10.
Speed or the torque limit?
Does it give you anything?
I'm getting responses from the motor torque and motor speed. I can keep pushing the speed.
Go the speed slightly higher?
Yeah, I can hear it trying. I can go more. Yep.
20? The reason it's not turning is because I'm guessing the motor's turning and we don't have the gear engaged. Oh yeah, it's neutral. Yeah, no, this is by design.
Okay,
This is by design.
perfect.
There is a
So
neutral.
this is very, very good news so far.
So go back. Then, right?
Okay, do start request and gear request to 1, and let's see if this goes as how we all dream.
Clear the tires.
Ready?
I'm not hearing the shifter. I think we have shifting issues.
What gear does it say it's in? It's also 0. This is
Okay, I agree. It is in 0. I think there might be a wiring error on the shift motor. That is the thing they had you messing with.
Yep,
absolutely. That's a likely.
Okay, so we're getting closer here. Instead of having no communication to the axle, we can hear the motor engaging. It's spinning in neutral. We just got to get that. It's got a neutral mode for towing or whatever. We just got to get that neutral mode to engage gear. But we're moving a step ahead, a little bit day by day. Okay, little update here. We did get some good news. We have the air compressor going. We have the power steering pump working. And honestly, that air compressor is the most impressive air compressor I've ever seen. But I'll be honest with you guys. We've hired the low bed now to bring us to the show. But I don't know if this truck is going to run. They've been working on it for 3 days now for these axles. It feels like we haven't figured out what the problem is. There's some kind of computer problem where we have power from the batteries to the battery management system. Then we have power from the battery management system to the headache rack. From the headache rack, we have power to the motor controllers, to the motors. But we can't get the axles to spin. For whatever reason, we have fault codes. There's a few errors on there, and they don't know why they're getting these errors, and they don't make sense. It's scary for me. This is the part that I don't know enough about to tell you. I'm not a computer guy. I'm not even qualified to know what they're talking about when they're talking about some of these things. And for me personally, that's truly terrifying with the 1 week we have left, 7 days to get this fixed. But man, we gotta hope that we get this fixed. I'm not sure. Okay, so today, Finning is here. They're hooking up the generator to work with our vehicle controls so that our truck can turn on and off the generator as needed as a standby generator. So,
Okay, so guys, we're just about to test these axles out. Hopefully they actually spin for the first time. Yeah, so funny enough, Chase isn't here tonight, so it's guaranteed to work.
Wait, tell him what happened last night.
Yeah, so he came back from something, whatever, and we actually ended up getting the air compressor working for the first time. So who knows, he might be walking up the driveway as we speak.
We're hopefully airing up the truck, and we've adjusted the code a bit, and we're following the manufacturer's specification on steps to start, and we'll see what happens.
Are you ready?
Brake pedal 100.
Okay, who's holding the button? Hold the button. I'm turning. Battery going on. I heard it. Okay. Nothing?
0 volts.
Okay. Recharge starting now.
Okay.
Is that working?
Yep. IPU 555. 555.
Okay, main contactor going on.
559.
Okay.
IPU 560.
You can pre-charge complete. I heard something.
Heard something.
Okay.
Something moves.
So now do IPU enable. No faults yet. Okay. Take the brakes off. Brakes off. Brakes off. 0, 0. Okay. Watch out. Hands on the wheels.
Yeah. It might spin like shit.
Okay.
Okay.
Now do a torque request.
Pre-charge. Pre-charge going on now.
Firing.
Good.
555.
556 here.
Okay.
559.
560.
Okay.
Drive gear and 1, 1. Send it.
Send it.
Now set the brake off.
There's a click.
Heard a click.
No limits off. Brake
Second
off.
brake.
I didn't hear it shift this time. Did you get it?
Yeah, we heard 2 clicks.
I heard it.
Okay.
Yep.
You have faults?
I hear the motor.
I do have some shift stuck faults. Okay.
Oh, you do?
Are you?
I'm still sending. Yeah. Okay, so I'll set these power limits. Okay, what for power limit? 50? 20? Yep. Oh, control mode 2 for torque. Yeah.
Oh, shit!
Good job, guys.
Fuck yeah!
Great job.
Right here.
Oh, Michael.
Holy shit!
Okay, so we just had a meeting in the shop and it's a little disappointing. So we got the axle spinning, which is great. We celebrated, we were all super happy. The downside is we still have a long way to go. Realistically, he needs another week of programming and testing to really feel confident in this thing. And the unfortunate part is we don't have that week. That week is holding us up massively. So the problem is Steve is getting married next week. So he's leaving on Saturday to go get married. Of course, we're not going to hold him back for that. But that means that he's got to get married, he's going to have his honeymoon, and then come back later for that testing. We still need to hook up the generator, see how the generator charges the batteries. We'll need to be able to do load testing, dyno testing. Realistically, we need another week. We need one more week to be fully confident. The truck moves and drives under its own power, and I did say that if it moves and drives under its own power, I'll take it to the show. So we'll still take it to the show, we'll still show it off, but we aren't going to be hauling logs for another couple months. Way it goes.
Hey Chase.
Yeah.
Great news, man. I think we actually got the second axle figured out. Like,
Oh.
I had a grounding issue or something, so we actually might be able to get the second axle going today.
Grounding issue on the low voltage?
Yeah, on the low voltage side. Yeah, what's powering the actual inverter itself. Now it's communicating, we got a whole bunch of weird CAN bus stuff, but I think we'll get it figured. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Stoked.
Oh, fuck.
Oh,
Sorry.
What's your bad hand? No.
It's all good.
You can pound with it now?
Oh, almost, yeah.
Now that we know that the truck works, we're just working on getting everything else ready and down to the show. It moves. It's meet my minimum standard of, hey, this thing moves. It works. Apparently we now have axle 2 going. We thought, okay, we got one axle. One axle can drive it, even if it doesn't one. Looks like both axles are working. So now we're definitely going to be able to bring this to the show as a drivable vehicle. Well, no, not definitely. A lot of things can still go wrong. Between then, we got to reprogram it all into the cab now. Yeah. That's one of the big things is that, yeah, we got all the rest of the stuff to do. But we have a very good chance of making the show. So now I'm booking all our low beds and...
Yeah, let's get it to the show. Absolutely, we're going to get it there.
Your shim gives my
there, that looks good.
How's that weld line up?
Perfect.
And that aluminum shim on the bottoms that we used last time.
We're testing serpentine belts now that we got the rotation right and the tensioner right, so we can run the water pump, because that's the only thing we got to run.
All right, we got the doors on. We got the fenders done today. I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, these doors are not complete. They don't have their liners, but you know what? For the show, they're on, and I couldn't be happier.
Okay, is everyone ready?
All clear?
We're going to be testing the power steering pump. So we're going to activate some high voltage. We're going to turn the power steering pump on for a little bit. And Jeff and Dan and Big Easy are going to be validating its use.
Battery going on.
Okay.
Recharge starting.
Check. Backing up. 558. Steering 550. Over 558. 560. Steering 560. Let me know when you're ready to go, Jeff.
Ready.
Ready. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Yell when to stop.
Hear it.
Yep.
4.
Motor sounds good. Okay.
Stop.
We're good.
My mom's out here watching the test. But power steering pump test went really good. Now we'll start testing some more things, but overall, it's going good. I don't want to be too optimistic, but these guys know what they're doing. So I'm sitting back watching and learning.
So no logging roads till.
No, we don't, Chase.
My mom says I can't take it up logging roads until we fully check it.
Going the right way?
Yeah.
Mom!
So we are going to be testing automation. So instead of Steve, Mark, and I all manually controlling things from our laptop, we are going to let the truck do the talking. So Mark is in the cab. He is going to be watching the air pressure gauge and see if the air compressor turns on and pushes it up to its set point and then stops. And if the air drops below its low set point, if it kicks back on.
And then after that, we are going to try turning the axles with the throttle pedal. So we're going to try shifting, holding the brake. There's a whole sequence we have to learn, but if we figure that out, we might get the axles turning with the throttle pedal.
So you're going to take it all from these laptops and like have it hard set in the cab where Mark up there is going to be the first person to move an axle on an Edison rig with the pedal.
That's what we're going to do.
We're about to test the onboard air compressor and a sequence of events that is enabling us to actually use a throttle pedal for the first time.
If anything goes wrong, what do?
We panic.
We're seeing if we can control the motor from the cab.
The motor or the axle?
Axle. The axle motor. The motor's mounted to the axle, Dan. You definitely have those plugged in, right?
Yep.
Oh, Chase, now it's not going to work.
So I'm going to press brake. Here, brake release. I felt something.
We have a driving
that's one of
truck.
the ideas we were working on.
We just drove over the cab.
At 1.5 kilometers an hour.
Safe and sorry.
Steve, what'd you just get right there?
We fixed our stupid wiring problems.
And what we have? Did I hear you say we have Axle 2 now?
We now have the potential to have Axle 2.
Nice.
He now has a lot of work to do to get Axle 2, but he knows what he has to do.
Correct.
We're happy he has to do it.
Yeah.
We're happy figuring it out, not happy in the amount of work to fix the thing to figure it out. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Here, Chase.
Yes.
Michael's here with gifts.
Michael's here. Awesome. Oh.
What is that?
Oh man, they went all out on them logos. Jesus. Beautiful.
Let's see. Nice. And where are we putting those?
Headache rack.
This is all laser cut, Michael?
Yeah, it's all
Isn't that cool?
Oh, and the little guys?
Oh, I like that. That'll make nice little accent trims.
Wait, what are we doing right now?
Right here. We're showing Ellen the horn. Here's in.
Hold the horn.
One more.
Watch it.
Okay, now your turn.
What are you doing here, Eric?
Essentially looking for temperature spikes, because if they are like getting really hot, the fuses or the resistor, something's probably wrong and they might explode.
Right now, we're going to try out with controlling the axles with the cab control.
Tonight might be the night. We've got one axle spinning so far. We're going for 2.
First, we're just getting power to both axles at the same time. Then we're going to climb into the cab, assuming that goes well, and see if we can drive.
Okay, it's going to spin.
Yeah!
Wait. Hey, both of them going.
It's actually spinning both.
Is this one a locked diff? Because this one's spinning.
That one must be locked.
This is going to be so awesome for doing burnouts, having your tires go in opposite directions. No, we knew this was going to happen. One axle's backwards to the other one. We just got to reprogram it. This is a totally expected thing. This is exactly what we wanted to happen. Okay, right now we're testing the axles. We've got to release the brake. You step on the brake in order to engage it, and then you engage the drive. So we're just testing to see if that programming is right, because if the programming is right, hopefully the axles will turn. A lot of things are going to need to go right for this to happen, but we're working on it.
Put ramps on your out.
It's actually
Hey!
Oh, it's working! What?
Differential, yeah.
Oh my god, man, it's actually working on the pedal.
I'm driving the truck!
Your foot is on the pedal.
I'm driving the truck!
Give us some gas.
I've never been so excited to drive a truck in my life!
It's pretty fucking awesome, don't you think?
Oh, guys, this is crazy.
What has happened today?
Chase literally drove the truck for the very first time using his foot on the accelerator pedal. And it worked really nice. We ended up going from having massive issues with just one axle to figuring out the software protocol to send signals to the motors from a throttle pedal. And then after that, we ended up figuring out a harnessing issue on the second axle. And then after we figured that out, we were able to turn both axles at the same time using the computer system, which is insane because, like, until today, we had never seen the back axle turn here. So after both of those were spinning, one of them was spinning backwards and it was spinning forwards because they're parallel to each other, so they're kind of mirroring each other. So we had to put the front axle technically in reverse all the time. That worked. And then after we did that, we programmed a few little accelerometers and throttle matching and whatnot. Torque measurements as well. And then Chase literally for the first time just drove it with his foot.
I just drove the truck for the first time here now. It worked. I was able to put it into gear, apply the throttle, have the wheels spin, come back to neutral. We're still working on reverse, but we can move forward, and that's a big step.
And we are only moving forward.
We're only moving forward. It's only forward from here.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome, Chase.
I gave you a little more. We gave you a little more speed.
That's so sick.
All right, so right now we're at a very, I'd like to call it a pinnacle. Okay, so Bobo fabbed up tubes and found some rad hoses. Making stuff work together that was never designed to be together not only is fun, but very difficult. So we got a Kenworth W900 radiator out of like a 70-something, one of probably Chase's trucks, hooked to this 9-liter with the tubes he got figured out. We've got the block almost filled with coolant. I think you put 3 or 4 jugs of concentrate and 3 jugs of distilled water in it. 2 jugs of concentrate up there with another 3 jugs of distilled water. The engine is full of oil. We haven't pressurized the oil system yet, but the filter's full. The engine is basically ready to start once we get all the fluids done. It has been a mission, but it's very rewarding to get to this stage. I think we're almost ready to fire it.
Okay, right now we're just going to be getting the cat generator running here.
There we go.
Ready to start?
Your oil pressure.
Clear.
All right, starting up.
So right now we've run it to 900 RPM. We're just double checking the oil because we had to adjust the dipstick, and we want to make sure the oil level's good so when they bump it up to the proper engine RPM that we're looking for, 1800-ish, it doesn't starve the pump and suck it dry.
But it went good. The truck's computer was able to fire the generator up, stop it, and the generator ran beautifully.
First try.
Actually, and the really clear exhaust too. Like it cleaned up almost immediately. It could not have gone better on that stage.
All right, starting her up.
It's running. Sounds like a truck. This is the nicest sounding electric vehicle I've ever been in. So right now these guys are programming everything so we can control everything from in the cab, the start, the stopping. It's not going to be like Carl where we had the old generator controls built into the dash. This is just going to be built in. It's going to know what the batteries are at, know how to charge the batteries. You can shut off when the batteries are full and make sure that we still give the driver the ability. So the driver can turn it on, turn it off when he wants, but he can also set it into an automatic mode where it will automatically charge the batteries as needed. So. How's that? They bumped her up to 1500. She's working.
It's hot in here. Let's get up to speed. Get some natural AC going.
Yeah. It's she's a little warm.
Go crazy. And let's see if this drives. I have no idea if it will or not. Yeah, you might not have.
Yeah, I think we set the torque a little too low. Okay, Edison truck, first test drive. That's gonna turn our air compressor on. We got nothing on throttle.
There you go. Yeah, you're moving.
Yeah, buddy.
It's working great. Everything's going perfect. Inverters get hot crazy fast.
Well, we did it. It's been a long year, but in just 12 months, we went from Carl to our own running and driving. We went from parts from a ripped out Tesla to e-axles, proper battery, not an old mechanical generator, a purpose-built. We did it.
Yep, we sure did.
Can't believe we did it. I can't believe we actually did it. Oh, I knew we would, but the fact that we were actually able to pull it off in a year is, man.
Yeah, down to the wire, right?
From just an idea, like something we posted on like TikTok and some shorts 2 years ago now, to proof of concept, production prototype, and this, like,
Literally seemed like a dream, and look at what's behind us. Made a reality. Yeah. Oh, good job, buddy. Good job.
Good.
Come here.
So you got the hood on.
Yeah, we're getting the hood on here right now, putting in the bolts. This thing looks great, and now that the hood is on and the truck drives, we'll be able to put the name on. We got Joel coming to pick us up today with the low bed. We're gonna get these trucks loaded up on the low bed, so we're ready to go first thing in the morning. So we've got like sub 4 hours left to go. Emotions levels are peaking, as you can see by the board. But the good news is that we have very few tasks left on this list. We've got fenders left to install. They've been freshly painted. We've got interior left to finish, which is almost complete. Side boxes to put on. The sides of the hood are actually ready to go. There's nothing to be done there. Things are looking up. I think we're going to make our deadline, get this truck on the lowboy, and get it to Vancouver in time for the show. Things are looking pretty good here at Edison. For the first time in many days, the task list is getting really small. So, exciting. Woo! Yeah! Woo! So good. Okay, if you can't tell, it's a little hectic around the shop today because we have about 10 hours to get everything assembled and onto the truck, and we just realized we forgot to even paint a couple things, so it's a little hectic. We're getting hood, fenders, walking deck, parts painted. This is a busy, chaotic day.
Low voltage cover.
Low voltage cover.
Yeah, so it'll hide all the wires and components and whatnot. So doing a mechanical inspection over the truck before it goes out. Red Seal journeyman heavy duty mechanic.
Battery boxes, steps, both.
Battery box / steps.
I'm getting the truck ready to load up onto the trailer. So because of safety reasons, our truck is limited in what it can do. The software doesn't allow the truck to go too fast or push out too much torque, so I'm adjusting things to allow the truck to push out a lot more torque because it's a really heavy truck and it's going to have to get up that bed to get onto the flatbed to get to the show. And so I'm making sure we can pump up those torque limits and let the truck drive up onto that bed, but still safely and not, you know, drive off the ramp with a ton of speed behind it.
Finishing touches going on over here. Hood latches.
Hood latches, yes sir. This is a big moment.
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
Don't scratch the paint.
I'm not going to.
Kind of did.
This gets me the final resting home.
Are you happy with the hood, Chase?
We need half. Yeah, I'm happy with the hood. Want me to put the wrench back one's done. On? There you go. Topsy officially has its name on it now. Her name. When you forgot to paint a piece right before the show.
I'm trying.
Yep, it's super hard. Hey everyone, we're just getting the turn signals on the fenders here. It's the last piece of the puzzle. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that thing's gonna look mean coming up behind you.
Hazards are at the bottom of the turnstock. Pull it out. Okay, left turn again. Markers off. Right turn. You good, Ray? Shut her down.
Chase, are you crawling in the battery?
Yeah, how are you getting out now?
I just go down, so let's go in.
So here we have Michael working hard on the code. But as we can all see, the truck is way outside of its home in the shop. We're happy, relieved. I don't know if it's all settled in yet, but man, the truck is not sitting in the shop anymore. It's driven out to be loaded onto the flatbed, which is sitting ahead of us. I think the excitement's going to be happening soon, but tentative relief. It's a good time. Are you feeling some tentative relief?
I hope to be soon.
Soon tentative relief.
Yeah, soon.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're in drive. Oh, we're both in drive.
The visibility is wicked for lining this up.
Oh yeah.
This may be the easiest truck to ever put onto a low bed. How am I looking? How was that?
Fuck yeah! Woohoo!
This thing was literally a pair of frame rails a few months ago. We built this from scratch, and now it worked, it drove up here. Can't get over it.
Got the trucks loaded up, got all the gear loaded up. It is first thing in the morning on Thursday, and we are headed to the Fully Charged show.
Going to the show.
It's exciting. Everything looks solid on the truck. None of the panels are flopping around. Nothing's wiggling. It's a solid truck up there.
So we don't have a VHF radio in our truck, but Joel does. And Joel heard the chatter on Lad 1, the truckers getting all excited as we were driving by them, people recognizing Carl, people recognizing Topsy. So that's pretty cool.
She looks good. She looks good. It's exciting. I can't get over, like, it turned out better than I thought it would. I wasn't sure on the design, but once we actually see it done, I love this thing. I'm really, really proud of what the crew did here. All right, going under the bridge. We are so bad at fist bumps. Thank you, Bob.
You gotta give her credit.
We did it. God damn, we did it.
That's something I would love to test.
Feels so good. Went in here, worked perfectly. We were worried, we're like, well, it's gonna be bouncing on the back of a truck for 3 hours, and okay, so we are at the first day of the Fully Charged live show in Vancouver. We're excited. They're gonna open the gates in about half hour. The public's gonna start coming in, but you have no idea how proud I am of the team and our ability to show off these trucks here. It's really, really exciting. We're kind of up in the big leagues here, and we're right at the front door. You couldn't get a nicer spot. Honestly, I feel so relieved and so incredibly proud to be here. Like, the amount of stress we had to make it to this show, but we did it. The truck works, it drives, it drove in here, everything worked exactly how it should. Just the stress level has come down. We can just enjoy it, we can be proud of it, and we can just take a few days to really just enjoy this moment before we move on to the next trucks. So it was 1 year ago today that we showed off Carl at the Pope Brigade Days, that tiny truck show. 1 year later, we are able to show off our new truck in downtown Vancouver. That is an incredible, incredible accomplishment. And it's one of those really proud things, because how many people can bring their own truck that they designed and built into the show? So this team is feeling incredibly proud to be able to do that. Like every other vehicle in here, it's somebody else's vehicle. Somebody else designed it and they're showing it off. We brought our own vehicle, something that we made, something that the fans helped design. That this is a big community effort, and I think everybody really should feel proud of this. So I want to introduce this truck to you. So we got a little tradition at Edison that when a truck first moves and it gets first driven, it gets its name. So I'm introducing to you Topsy.
We named it after the elephant that Thomas Edison electrocuted in respect to the elephant. That looks awesome.
When you're downtown, you gotta look downtown.
I feel like we're a professional truck company. This is sweet.
I think it looks great. I've been on projects. I understand the work that goes into it. First impressions, it's a badass machine. It is big and it's mean. I especially like the cab. All the visibility when you sit down inside of it. I mean, I saw it from photos, but I hadn't sat in it. I think it's super well executed.
So we got a truck now to haul Topsy to Ontario. So we're here in Ontario at Flow Hydraulic, and what we got to do here is dial in the computer. Make sure that like the throttle mapping is done, the computer works the way that we want it to work as truckers. They're going to dial that in for us. Then we're going to send it off to testing. But first things first, we got to get this truck off the step deck. We're here at the Boss Garage, and they've got a Sherman tank with a Chevy on it. And like, I think it would be so cool that Topsy's first load is literally a Sherman tank Chevy. So we're gonna give it a try here, see what happens. I can't not take this opportunity. This is too cool. This thing weighs over 50,000 pounds, over 20,000 pounds on the trailer, which means that with Topsy's 26,000 pounds, we're gonna be pushing 100,000 pounds on this load test right now. So we're not even starting at an 80,000 pound load. We're moving 100,000 pound gross vehicle weight today and see what happens. You guys watching them? Help them?
This is exciting.
Very exciting. Also slightly terrifying.
Super terrifying.
Yeah.
All right, moving.
Got this. No problem at all. Yeah. And yeah, only oh, it says it doesn't actually give it to you. See that? Oh, 20 kilowatts.
That's nothing.
No. Dude, fucking do it.
Oh, that's nothing for power.
It's weird though, it's disappearing on us. But it's the software. It's okay. 6 kilowatts, man. We're consuming nothing. Once you break inertia, it's just chill. 22 kilowatts. Fucking rights, man. This is awesome.
We did it. We're moving 100,000 pounds.
It feels effortless because it is. Get a real gauge on how much you're drawing. It's 530 now. Computer rate now. Isn't that crazy? Electric torque, man. Yeah.
We're going to put her up on the scales.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay with it.
Now we're taking her up the little hill.
Yeah. Easy.
On the scales. Oh, the visibility is fantastic in this thing.
Yeah. As it should be.
Oh yeah, look at that power. Come to a stop on a hill, she still pulls her out.
Yeah. Oh man, this is awesome. This is exactly what we wanted to see in performance.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100,000. Wow.
107.
Incredible.
We just moved over 100,000 pounds with our electric truck. This thing went so good. It was like there was nothing there. Oh, like we moved more. Do you realize we just moved 19,000 pounds more than a Tesla Semi has ever moved? First go, too. We moved 20,000 pounds more than a Tesla Semi hauled on the very first time it ever pulled onto a trailer. Now we got to take this thing to full train weight.
God, guys, it's insane to see this thing move. And also, this is the very first thing it's ever hauled. So to haul that amount of weight is just super impressive. And to do it here with DeBoss, I mean, how cool is that? I'm so honored to be here and to witness this. This is incredible.
That ain't going nowhere. All right, we got Topsy loaded up. We're taking her to the big show here with Pepper. Ready to go, buddy. Ready to go. Here we go, man.
We are at the opening of Investors Day. We got Topsy parked up on the hill. Anyone that drives by is going to see him.
Well, today is Customer Appreciation Day at Omniflex. What a gorgeous day. And we are showcasing the brand new heavy-duty hybrid electric vocational truck. This is Canadian made, 18 months in the making, and the team here is honestly so proud to showcase it today. I was up in that bad boy. I felt like a badass. It's awesome. We're from Dave Rocks, and we're just so happy to be here and help promote. I'm live on location here at Omniflex in Cambridge, and I'm joined by Nigel, who really just wears a lot of hats here. Nigel, what can you tell me about this big day today?
Yeah, no, today we're here with Edison Motors and Flowdraulic and Omniflex, of course. Just here supporting Edison as they have unveiled their hybrid electric logging truck out in British Columbia a few weeks ago. And now we're demonstrating that to some of our customers and friends here in Ontario.
And who are you?
Rich Dockery.
And what's your position with Flowdraulic?
I'm the president of Flowdraulic Cloud.
And you assigned Topsy. Very well, rightfully so.
Which I think is an aptly named product.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Yeah, today was a great success. We had so much fun out here displaying Topsy, and might get a few sales here, so pretty stoked.
All right, guys, in this video, our electric truck Topsy is going to be certified, registered, insured, and made road legal. The government is now officially recognizing our truck made here in BC, and we become the first OEM manufacturer in 30 years here. So after we debuted this truck in September at the Fully Charged show, we shipped it off to Ontario, where they spent 5 months working and going through this truck from an integration, an operational, a safety point of view. Does the truck work the way it should? Is the truck's operation safe? They went through all that. Then once we were happy with that passed its test, we shipped it back to British Columbia here, where we brought it to Matt's shop, Boston Equipment, and they tore this truck down mechanically to go through the mechanical. Are all the parts that are DOT approved? DOT approved. Do we meet the certification? Do we meet the requirements? Is it a safe vehicle? Once we submitted that, we were happy with that. We sent the paperwork off to the government. The government reviewed it. They sent a VIN number. We issued that VIN number on the truck. We sent the paperwork back in. Then they sent the registration, which we took to the registration office. Did it? I can't get over how much paperwork it is to build a truck, but we did it. We submitted everything. It's done. We're good. Okay, so we had to choose where we're gonna run our exhaust piping on this truck, and I decided to go with a hood stack because we can. Turns out this is something we can legally do in BC. I think it's cool. It's actually right behind here, so it doesn't block the vision. And no, this isn't a production feature. On a production truck, I would probably just go with a set of stacks like a normal truck. But for something fun to play around with, something a little different, I thought a hood stack would be cool. Maybe I'll move it later. Maybe not, but it's fun. I like it. So you guys remember Matt from the last video when we dropped Topsy off at the shop? It's been about 5 weeks now. And Matt, you want to tell us what we had to do on this truck to get it to the next level of inspection? What does an inspection look like?
Well, first off, I mean, you had to submit quite the application even to get us to this point. We had to do the same in order to be able to do an inspection on this truck. So to take this to that level, we went through this thing 100%. We pulled the grill off, we pulled the hood off, we inspected radiator mounts, generator to engine, We pulled all the wheels, inspected all the brakes. We customized the exhaust system, updated the steering column. We had to swap a few of the airlines around, just, you know, sizes were a little bit off, but nothing major. We had to go through and stabilize the battery box. Definitely there was quite the rigorous inspection.
I remember looking at this truck and you're like, oh my God, is Matt's working on this thing? Like the truck was torn down and you're like, oh my God, we're rebuilding the truck as part of the mechanical inspection. But
A little bit of panic there on a couple of them, but I mean, we didn't find anything to be worried about.
I think we got a solid truck. The next steps are, once we did all of this inspection, all of this paperwork, Matt sent that information off. Then the government said, okay, Matt, you can put the VIN number on. We put the VIN number on. We sent off that we put the VIN number on.
Yeah.
Then the government then sent a registration, said, okay, take this down to the registry office. We took that down. They did up all the paperwork to create Topsy in their system with what they had. Then that gave us registration, which then gave us insurance, license plates.
Guess what, Chase? We did it.
We now have our registration, insurance, a license plate, which means that we can now drive Topsy on the road. It is now a legal vehicle that we have built. We did it. We built a truck that is now legally a truck. So we just built Topsy. We got a license plate on. It is absolutely incredible. We did it. And one of the cool things is the government is now starting to recognize Edison Motors. Today, they've invited us down to the Legislative Assembly. Before, we've gotten no recognition. We've never gotten a single government grant, a government backup. This is the first time. Now that we've done it, and we have built the first truck in BC since Western Star shut down their production facility in the 1990s. This is one of the first trucks that has a VIN number that was made and built in British Columbia in 30 years. And we were just introduced to the Legislative Assembly to kind of highlight that fact that this is a cool thing that is happening directly here in British Columbia. It's a BC success story. It's a Canadian success story. It's really a success story for all blue-collar workers. This is one of those times where it wasn't a billion-dollar corporation coming out with an innovative idea. It was a bunch of loggers, truck drivers, mechanics that got together with a crazy idea to build a truck, and we pulled it off. We did something that everybody told us was going to be impossible. You'll never be able to be an OEM. Well, just the other day, we proved that we got a VIN number, we got a license plate, we did it, we made a truck that passed the test, that they got it. We have a product that we can now sell on the market. We still have a little more testing to do, but we're doing it. And I cannot be grateful enough for everybody's support to do this. It wouldn't be possible on our own. It was the support of everybody. When 2 years ago, I said, I have a crazy idea to build a truck, it was the fans that came out and said, we got your back, we're gonna help you out. It was the people that came out of the woodworks and said, hey, I'm an expert in engineering on this part, or I'm a truck mechanic, I can help you pull wrenches, I know something that can help you out. They came to help us. The fans supported us in cheering us on, getting us the success we need. Even just buying merch to help fund the project when we were getting going helped so much more than you guys realized to be able to do this. And this is just such an incredible success story that we pulled this off. And I cannot be grateful enough for you guys. We did it. I don't know what else to say, but we did it. We actually built a truck. We did the thing we were gonna do. We've got a long road ahead of us, but let's just take a moment to celebrate this right now. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you. Bad news, we broke Topsy. We accidentally fried the BMS. It's on the low voltage side. We accidentally sent the low wrong voltage to the computer, fried the computer, which means the BMS is the battery management system. It controls the batteries, so we can't drive it. It was a learning opportunity for us. It was allowed us to test the theory. Can we drive it off the generator alone? And what we found is we can, but we need a different 3-in-1 that can handle a bigger voltage range. So today we're just changing that out. So because this is a generator, it runs at 1 RPM. You get 1 steady voltage, which sounds great, and this is a mistake. We probably should have realized it. When the throttle comes on it and you're asking for power out of the back end of the generator actually lugs down a little bit. When it lugs down, it means the speed decreases just a tiny bit, but that tiny bit in speed decrease was dropping the voltage level below where the 3-in-1 wanted to see it. So the way it is with this computer, if it sees any voltage that isn't where it is, it defaults on the side of safety and it shuts it off. We programmed everything in here that if we see something that it doesn't expect, it shuts it down. We just defaulted on the side of safety. I think that's the way to go, especially on a prototype. Unfortunately, it means that we need to make sure that voltage stays exactly where the computer expects it to see. So because we're going to be working on the high voltage side today, we've actually pulled out the plugs on the batteries. And now what Eric's going to do, he's going to put on these special high voltage gloves. He's going to climb up there with a voltmeter, and he's going to check to make sure the system's off. Even though the batteries are disconnected, even though the generator's off, you still want to verify the power's on there. We're 99% sure there's no power, but you always want to check. You don't know where there's going to be a capacitor storing power, something in line. So he's going to check all the things, that all the high voltage cables that lead to the box, make sure it's safe to work on. This is something that's definitely getting changed on the new trucks. On the new trucks, we're integrating this into the back of the cab. The 3-in-1 is being included in there. And on headache racks for retrofit kits, we're also found the space. This 3-in-1 it got forgotten during the design of the power distribution unit. Oh well, lessons during prototyping.
Yeah, so like Chase was saying, what you're seeing here is a 3-in-1 inverter. It does the power steering pump, air compressor, and actually this one will be able to charge our 24 volt, 12 volt batteries at 3 kilowatt instead of a kilowatt. But more importantly, the reason why we're putting this in is the generator right now can only produce about 590 volts because this one was rated for that maximum. This one is rated for 750 volts, meaning that now we can actually get to like 1800 RPM, 2000 RPM on the generator. So this one is kind of essential to test out a generator. Another reason for using this inverter is this is the standard inverter going forward on all our semi trucks. So this 3-in-1 is the higher voltage rating of 700 volts like our other new battery systems. That means that now on Topsy we can actually upgrade the software and the firmware to behave for this one. So it's actually a good thing we're doing this.
So we got a problem. The new 3-in-1 is slightly bigger than the old one, and it's just slightly too big to fit in the old box. We looked all around town. There's no boxes that meet this size. We're gonna have to order one in a couple weeks away. So I think what we're gonna do right now is just, unless we can figure out something else, cut a hole in the back and just let it stick out the back of the box. Because at least the new one, it's now waterproof. The old one wasn't waterproof. It was all kind of exposed with electric cooling. The new one's liquid cooling. Sorry, the old one was air cooled. So therefore it couldn't be waterproof. This one's liquid cooled, so it can be waterproof. There you go, got this hole cut out here. Now all the power wires are gonna be able to go right through here. Had to make some space for it, but it'll work. This is why I'm so excited to put this in the headache rack of the truck. Or I mean in the back of the cab. All right, so good news, the new BMS is here. This is the reason why we haven't been able to do full speed. We got the 3-in-1, which would allow the power and the generator to just drive directly off the generator. But to get the maximum power, we need the battery management. It was actually a little computer that was gone in the BMS itself, but we're replacing the whole BMS because we found a much safer design through our testing that we can go with. I'm sure Eric can explain a lot more about that.
Yeah, so the reason why we ended up going with these disconnects, these red switches here, is because the original design was revolving around fuses. And those fuses we had to literally take out physically. And they're quite annoying. So with the disconnect switches, now you have a nice switch that you can turn around. You can even lock it too for safe use. So the other reason why this box is safer is the original design, both battery connections were connected directly to an input on the contactor. Now we have a degree of separation where these are not connected anymore. They actually go to their individual disconnects, then going to the main contactor, making the system actually a truly isolated. So it's a far better design, and more importantly, it's a lot safer to play with. So really happy that we were able to improve on this in such a short turnaround. I mean, we really thought about doing this about 2 months ago, and here it is. So really quick prototyping on our part.
Okay, so right now, this is just the air valve for the air horn. And before I disconnected the air ride seat, because our BMS is located under this box, so we're just gonna take the floor pan out, then we have access to everything under there. Real easy for maintenance. But I'm like, I better make sure there's still air in the system. With this steel braided line, this truck has now been parked for 6 weeks as we waited for this new BMS to get here. Very long 6 weeks it felt like. But 6 weeks, I still have air in my air system. Compare that to a new truck. Show me a brand new truck rolling off the line that still has air after 6 weeks of parking. That's why you build it right. All right, so we got the BMS in, we got the 3-in-1 in. Flowdraulic came out from Ontario to help us put it in there because there's been programming involved, which means that because it's a new BMS, new 3-in-1, had to be reprogrammed, going through that, making sure the computer works. That took 3-4 days. That never comes across in a video the way it should, but that was a ton of work that these guys did. We still got a few more things to do, but the truck is now moving, driving.
Want to go for a rip?
Sure, fuck it.
Drive around the parking lot first.
Okay, we'll go around the parking lot. Hey, we're just gonna go do a loop around the parking lot. See how it's working.
How's the throttle feel?
Good.
It's telling me that you don't like that. I thought we fixed that. So that's what I'm hoping is the problem there. Because that's an entirely solvable issue right now. How's it feel right now?
Feels good.
Nice.
Apply a little brake. Once I apply a brake, still got throttle. Still got throttle. And that gate's locked. Fuck. Yeah, that sucks. You know what? I got a tough enough bumper.
What was that?
We probably left shit on top of the headache rack. Okay, so a little update. We're gonna do our first road test with the new BMS. Seemed to do well on the parking lot. We forgot some shit on the top of the headache rack that fell off. Oops. Sure we'll watch the video back and see what was up there. It's somewhere in the truck. We'll find her here before we head at the road, but I'm sure I'll look back at the video and be like, that's the thing I forgot. Hope this goes well. Once we do this, then we can start doing some trailers, and that's where it really gets fun. Whew, this is nerve-wracking.
He's doing that because he knows you?
Probably.
We're back working on Topsy. Eric just honked the horn, and out from the bottom fell a socket. If any of you remember the last time we drove Topsy, we heard something fall off the headache rack. We're like, oh, we'll find that later. That was it. It lasted the whole drive and ended up falling off in the shop because Eric honked the horn. The train horn.
The last drive, we had no fault codes at all come up. A little bit on the cooling. We're gonna have to probably change it, but we did have to take apart of the coolant lines. We think that just maybe we got a little bit of airlock on the cooling side because we weren't having these cooling issues before, but that's just maybe an air bubble somewhere in the line. So we'll reflush the coolant system, reprime it, make sure it's working the way it should be, and go from there. But this is one of those cool things. It's a work in progress. The truck is definitely upgraded. We can run a higher voltage now. Instead of 500 volts, we're now pushing 600 volts, a little bit more power, a little bit more reliability. We increased the safety a lot. So overall, this has just been a fantastic accomplishment. Definitely did delay us a month there waiting on the parts, but hey, that's how it goes when you're prototyping, and we've definitely got a better truck for it. All right, so this is an exciting day. We got this new trailer. We're gonna go out and pull her around to Topsy. We're finally at the point where we're done doing all the testing in the shop, the integration, and now it's time to go out and do some road testing. So we picked up this set of Super B loggers, and let's head to the mill, let's deck her up, and let's get her ready to go out on the road. Thing's running great. This, the max power I could pull to get that thing up to speed once we got her up to 50 there was about 40 kilowatts of power. This thing has 500 kilowatts and the new trucks have 700 kilowatts, so. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna back up till this pole here, these set of stakes are right between that middle dual. and the tires are gonna come down on these rider bars here. That's where it rests. Okay, so we're all curious, what's the weight of the truck and trailer? We don't know the trailer weight. We know the truck came in around 12.5 tons. So on my, last time I pulled a Super B, I think I was scaling in around 23 with a set of Doppler trailers, 22, 23. I think we're gonna be hopefully around that 24, 25. Could be as high as 26, 28. They are some heavy trailers. Okay, so this is the same rig out that we actually, me and Theron, had on both of our logging trucks, which means that we are the same weight as a conventional truck. And we know we can lose like another 1,000. We can get this down to 21, which means that the hybrid system is still lighter, but you get the extra 1,500, so we can pull more payload than a normal truck. The math works. And this is a long wheelbase, so extra frame rail, extra steel on the hood, a heavier, way heavier cab than we need to, and more batteries than the production truck is going to have. It's got like 2 more batteries than the production truck. So this thing's gonna be, it'll be the payload king of the bush. All right, so we got the trailer decked up, we got the truck scaled in, now we gotta head over to the charging station. So this is an Edison Motors charging station. It's hybrid, so all you do, put some fuel in the tank, fire up the generator and recharge. Simple. Turns out there is actually thousands of these charging stations across North America. So that's one of the awesome things about Edison Motors. We don't need the charging infrastructure. It's already there for our trucks. Technically then, Edison Motors has more charging stations than Tesla does. Eat it, Tesla. 35 and now I'm regenning.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to be regenning.
But I've got my foot pushed down.
Oh, yeah, do you?
I do. I am pushing down at like 25% throttle.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we got an interesting happening now. If you guys remember, the last thing we were working on was regenning. The guys are dialing that in, and now we got a bit of a regen issue that's a little interesting. So once we get up to speed above 50 kilometers an hour or so, what happens is that this axle, for some reason, goes into regen. Now, we think because it's a 2-speed rear end, it's right at the shift point where it tells it to shift. So these axles shift into second gear, and for some reason, this one's applying regen with the throttle, and this one's driving. So this one's regenning 100 kilowatts, this one's pushing 100 kilowatts, so I can move, but I can tell that I'm fighting myself. So Eric's just in there with the laptop with Peter and Levi and Jacob. They're just gonna look at that programming, make sure that it's good. Our theory right now is that these 2 electric motors, you know, one axle's backwards from each other. So basically, one axle doesn't have the negative value, it has a positive value, and it's just a little bit backwards in that thing. So they're just gonna double check that, and hopefully we'll get going again here. Always something new when you're building these things, always something new.
We're just analyzing some data here, we're pulled it along the side of the road, and it looks like we're getting the power that we need to go to one axle, but one axle is, for some reason, either regenning power when it shouldn't. It's either coasting, but sometimes it does work. I kind of thought we were doing maybe like the wrong shifting engagement, or we're not shifting into drive, but it's definitely confusing us. But it's good that we're recording all this, so we'll be able to analyze more once we get back up to the house today.
So a lot of people ask, why don't you put alternators on the wheel and then you could just produce power when you're driving? Because this is exactly what happens. We have one axle producing power, the other axle making power, and without a doubt, it is a massive power loss in the system. It's a net loss of 50 kilowatts just trying to move it. So you're actually losing a ton of power. So no, you cannot create infinite power. We have disproved that myth 100%. You cannot put alternators on the wheel, produce power, and recharge while you're driving. It just slows the vehicle down and you work harder to fight it. All right, this is awesome. Topsy is finally home, back where she was made after 9 months. 3 months, 4 months in Ontario, a month or 2 at the inspection facility up in Quesnel. Then we had it with our testing partners and our partners at MCon as we were going through it there. Finally home, we got it out. We pinned onto a full set of trailers, packed a full set of trailers around, got into the mill, got the trailer loaded up, ready to go haul logging. We did a hill climb. It pulled way less power than we thought. The weight was less than we thought. We can pack the same payload as a normal logging truck. This went really well. We did have the hiccup with the regen, but it was awesome. We had the engineering team, software guys, they were able to immediately climb up, diagnose the issue, figure out the issue, reprogram the issue, got her back home. So now the mill is closed here for about another week and a half, 2 weeks. So that gives us 2 weeks to pack around that empty trailer, get some more road testing in. And as soon as that mill opens up, should be hauling in a load of logs. I'm excited. Okay, so good news. Yesterday we got the new motor control unit going in. We now have proper regen on both axles, forward and reverse. It's working. We tested on the jack stand. Now that Eric got a good night's sleep, we are back at it here tomorrow. We're just doing some little tests in the yard, drive it forward and back because it's working. Once we got it up on jacks, once it's in the air, it's fine. On the ground, we're just doing some testing to make sure it's fine. So far, it's doing really good. Peter is just doing some programming right now with the regen. We want it to come on a little bit smoother. We've been seeing some voltage spikes. Basically, like, hey, we got it working on that first axle. The motor control unit is doing its job. But right now, it's just a matter of making sure it comes on nice and gradually so we don't see a sudden voltage spike. And that programming done, we'll just do a little bit more test and then take it out on the road, and hopefully it should all be a good, solid truck. Yeah, right? So we got had two little voltage spikes, but that's when I was fucking around and kind of was trying to get a voltage spike. But I could cause a voltage. We'll have a little debrief here. Yeah. Let me just get her parked. All right, that went fantastic. We took it for a bunch of drives up and down Coldwater Road. Went down the road, we got it right up to highway speed. I was doing 90 with this thing. It ran fantastic. I came full off the throttle onto the regen at speed. It was able to slow down, no fault. Both axles did the same. Peter's gonna go have a look at that data we recorded over the last hour of driving and just double check that everything's good. We'll play around with a little bit of the throttle mapping, but overall, this was a huge success. The truck is now working how it should. The regen is working how it should. Now I think the next thing is time to put the truck to work.
The day has come. Topsy is gonna be pulling its first load. Actual load of logs. We're now at the mill. We're doing a bit of mill transfer. A lot of you ask, how do you take the trailer off when you're in the bush? Well, we're gonna show you. We're gonna use this button top loader. We're gonna lift the trailer off, and then we will be loading with this diesel electric Laterno loader, a load of logs, and then doing a mill transfer with it.
I remember backing this thing in when we had the mirrors off on the side. Remember when we did that mill test 2 weeks ago? Yeah, this is so much better with the new mirrors. I can't even get over how much easier this is. I can literally see my fifth wheel from the driver's seat. How many truck drivers out there can see their fifth wheel from the driver's seat? I'll be able to watch that fifth wheel latch while sitting in the truck. And we're latched. Little tug test. Yep. She's latched. Time to go to work. So you get that speed so they can track that. Oh yeah, we hauling ass. Because we got tight bunks, normally for mill-to-mill transfers, they run the 9.6 bunks under permit. We've got a more of a highway spec trailer that's hauling out of the bush, so he's just grabbing the one load, he's putting it in tighter bunks, trying to squeeze it together. Basically, they're trying to do this to save time. Normally, you would load it with a machine that comes over, but because they're all about efficiency on these mill-to-mill transfers, they're trying to use this guy. He's just got to get that in real tight. I gotta remember if I can still throw wrappers. There we go. We are loaded, right? Like it didn't feel like I was loaded there. We're pulling out. What are we pulling? That's nothing. Right? What? No, we're only pulling 60 amps? Well, I was climbing a little hill there and I put my foot into it. Oh, this thing is awesome. It doesn't even notice, like I can't even feel that there's a load behind me. Like normally you're droning, you're fighting, you're... Oh my God. I hope that camera was recording because that... This thing is so easy to pull onto the scales with. What? That was amazing. That was awesome. The thing didn't even notice we were doing things. Honestly, I forgot I was even loaded there. We only pulled 60 amps of current to move that. This thing did not even notice it was there. I'm like, hey, this is the first load. We got a full weight. It's heavy. It's gonna be a bitch to get this thing moving. Like I'm used to a truck letting the clutch out, throttling in. We just picked it up and it moved it. Like we could probably pull twice this weight, actually 60 amps. So we could do 3 times as much weight as we just did right now and it would still be fine. Literally, we could do about 3 times as much weight. So this wasn't even a test for the truck. Wow, this thing is awesome.
This is crazy.
It's like it's not even there.
Right? Like we're drawing less amp than when we were going bobtailing.
Yeah.
Here we're kind
running some decent power.
Yeah.
What are we putting out for power now that we got our
100 amps.
That's still not bad.
That's pretty fucking good.
What do we have? Like 1,000 amps that we can total to the motors? 500 kilowatts an hour peak times 600 volt. We got about 700 amps.
I think so.
So we got 700 amps and we're pulling 100 to actually bring it up to speed. No spikes?
No.
Avoid that big ass pothole there. She don't give a shit.
I don't think I'm gonna stop being stressed for 4 weeks. Like,
no, me neither.
Okay, we're nearing 200 amps.
And that was a pretty decent acceleration for a fully loaded train. Yeah. We're doing okay. This thing is so awesome. Like, it's just so quiet and smooth.
Right? This is actually bonkers.
Oh man, we did it. We made it. The truck works.
Yeah. Like.
The first load went really well. So we used about 30 amps when we were empty. We used about 100 amps when we were loaded. In total, we've got about 800 amps available, so we can use 8 times more power. That first load is a little bit more constrained. Keaton, running the computer, analyzing the data, wants a little bit increase the power, increase the speed on the next one. We got enough time just to get another load in here before the mill closes, so I think we're doing good. Let's give it another go. We did one successfully, might as well go for 2. For legal reasons, we are loading exact legal weight for testing, and we're going to scale it at the scales to make sure it's exactly 65,000. We are not overloading for the sake of getting more data. Yeah. Nine amps, eh?
Okay, so for those of you wondering the stats on what we accomplished today, in total we did about 140 kilometers of driving. In that 140 kilometers, that includes leaving our yard, going into town. We went to the log reload yard where we hauled from the reload yard to the sawmill and delivered 2 loads of logs. The total use for that 140 and then the loaded part was we used about 45% of our available battery to do that, so we didn't even need to run the generator today. Like, that was, we used less power than we were expecting. To get up to, well loaded, we got up to 65 kilometers an hour top speed, and we only used about 300 kilowatts out of the 600 available kilowatts to move that load. So it used less power than we were expecting, which is good. Our regen could be configured a little bit more. It's really strong when you're empty, loaded. We were playing it a little bit too safe. We'll play around with that in the future, but overall, this was an incredibly successful test. We cruised about 40 kilometers down the road empty at 85 kilometers an hour to get into town. Then we hauled from one end of town to the other. Not a big haul, but this is a first test of the load. We got that data. We'll go back. We'll have a look at the data. We got the Everything Electric show in the meantime. And then once we do that, we'll go back to hauling some more loads. We'll start doing some farther out tests. But for a first test of actually delivering loads of logs into the sawmill, this was incredibly, incredibly successful. So proud of the whole team here. I got a broken hand yesterday while drilling.
This is a little stressful.
The guy with the broken hand is doing the loop.
Hey, buddy. And Michael.
Let's just go out there and have this discussion, because this one's fine. I mean, what Peterbilt driver?
Really love the looks of this truck.
Like,
We're showing Ellen the horn. Here's in.